Good afternoon. My name is Alex Daniels, and today I will be talking about affordable housing in the United States and how it has become increasingly more insecure and expensive. We have come a long way in the United States, but there is still a lot of work that needs to be done to help get rid of the housing crisis in our country. People like myself and others similarly in age are a part of Generation Z, and we have a specific role to play in this situation, as well as groups like the government, existing homeowners, housing contractors, and developers too. We need to take a look back to see how we got to this current condition, and it all starts with the root causes, such as a lack of the housing inventory, a lack of young adults buying homes, and the lack of being able to support and construct affordable housing. Issues like these we see every day, and they need to be addressed to help forward the movement for secure and affordable housing in the United States, such as the increase of housing prices since the beginning of the 2000s, zoning laws and local regulations limit the space to build housing communities for affordable living. According to the Madison Trust Company, the average price of buying a home in the year 2000 was around $212,000, not taking into account the inflation from then. This first graph shows the inflation rate from March 2019 to March 2025. And as we can see, there was a peak in around 2022 in June. But we also notice how it never truly came back down to what it was before the pandemic started. The first number on this graph is the cost of the house without taking into consider the inflation rate. The average price of a home in 2023 was $492,000. That's over double the price in only 23 years. However, there are barriers that are blocking us from helping the situation improve. Barriers such as the NIMBY movement, which stands for Not in My Backyard. What can we do to help reform or remodel what's already established in our country to improve these conditions for Americans? There's a severe lack of houses in the available market inventory, which automatically increases the price of homes. With less houses on the market and less houses available, it makes the demand increase, which ultimately drives the price up. According to Bankrate.com, there is only a 3.5 month supply of homes in the available market, and the inventory, which is significantly less than the 5.5 to 6 month supply that is the norm. Recently, the struggle has also been trying to balance the cost of building new affordable housing so that we can minimize the cost. A major point that should be mentioned is how Generation Z has become the only demographic to become a renter majority. Younger people are not owning homes because it costs too much, and this younger generation prefers its pleasure and leisure rather than owning a home. It is also very concerning to buy a home when all that's happening in the recent past is prices increasing astronomically. So if we look at the age range of Generation Z, meaning when Generation Z was kids, it was cheaper than it is now. The most obvious structural problem that surrounds the housing crisis is the fact that the cost of living in homes has increased so much since the early 2000s and 1990s. This has created a norm to rent an apartment or home instead of investing in buying it. As I said before, Generation Z has become the only demographic to become a renter majority, which is scary because one that is most of us that we are a part of. This last chart shows the renter households and the homeownership rate percent in the recent years. And we can see that the homeownership rate has declined and the renter households has increased. And if no one is buying homes now, What is to say that it will change and our generation will buy homes later in life? To advocate and spread the to spread the word about this issue, we will have to deal with a level of the federal government which is always a problem. The government usually takes some time to respond or approve whatever it is that you are advocating for and preaching for, especially when it comes to applying for affordable housing. You must apply through the federal government to provide proof that you are making what constitutes low income. You must be below a threshold, but that threshold can be different depending on what part of the country you live in. Low income is generally defined by the Department of Housing and Urban Development as a household income that is below 80% of the median income for a specific area. City zoning laws and restrictions limit the availability of space to build on, and in the most populated areas, it is usually not a popular idea to use that space to build affordable housing due to its lack of bringing in profit and struggle of being able to balance cost. Generally speaking, the best place to have these living communities is in a metro area or city where the most jobs are located. However, there are inherent barriers to this. There has been a movement in the United States recently to stop the government from going into local areas and building power plants, new housing projects, and more. This movement is called the Not in My Backyard or NIMBY movement. This mentality or movement does not directly connect housing to housing, but signifies one's opposition to the locating of something considered undesirable in one's neighborhood, according to Britannica. Unclean energy was a big deal a few years back, and we really began to see this movement spike in rural areas and in places some people have used this in defense for building low-income housing. Building low-income housing in an area where you own a house can directly lower the price of your home, which pre-existing homeowners are against. Buying a home is an investment, so when the property value declines, it can easily upset people and lead people to be against it. Gentrification is another inherent barrier for finding affordable housing. Developers in gentrifying neighborhoods often convert low-cost housing into high-end units, reducing the availability of affordable housing and potentially pushing more people into homelessness, according to Crisis Housing. Gentrification is a process in which a poor area, as of a city, experiences an influx of middle-class or wealthy people who renovate and rebuild homes and businesses, and which often results in an increase in property values and the displacement of earlier, usually poorer residents, according to the Merriam-Webster Dictionary. A very obvious barrier is the simple fact that housing is not available. The market has only a 3.5 month inventory of homes, which is less than the normal 5 to 6 month inventory of homes, as I said before, from Bankrate. A lot of people have a say in this topic, and stakeholders in this situation widely vary, such as young adults, especially Generation Z, housing developers and investors, politicians, current homeowners. Each one of these groups also has a very different role to play in the cause. Generation Z has become the majority of renters. Generation Z values the flexibility and reduced responsibility central to the renting lifestyle, giving them a greater ability to pursue their passions, according to Arbor.com and Trey Siepel. Housing developers play a crucial role in trying to solve the equation of affordable housing, coming up with blueprints and plans for communities that stay affordable enough for those who classify as low income. According to the South Carolina Housing Department, the government offers tax cuts for those who can help contribute to building affordable, cost-effective housing. Politicians and government officials have a stake in this. Zoning laws and restrictions are usually left up to the government to decide, as well as I said earlier, that anything with the government takes time, so anything having to do with laws, regulations, applications, and more. Current homeowners are at risk of losing value on their homes because of affordable housing. Affordable housing can potentially lower the value of homes in that area and could increase the taxes. What are we able to do to help fix this major issue? Well, it all starts small, and we have to work to become a larger movement that can accomplish the things that need to change. Advocating and protesting for zoning laws within the larger, more populated cities to allow for opportunities for contractors to come in and try and develop low income affordable housing. Fair housing practices need to be enforced so that gentrification can no longer affect those who it hurts the most, which is lower income families or individuals. Building homes and affordable living communities both go towards solving the issue that the housing market inventory poses, providing families a safe space to live and feel comfortable in a very uncomfortable America that we currently live in. The affordable housing crisis in the United States is a deeply rooted issue, shaped by a combination of structural issues and inherent boundaries that we that we each have a part to play in. Whether we're future homeowners, renters, developers, or policymakers, Generation Z in particular has a unique opportunity to sway away from the norm of renting and begin buying homes again. Policy reform can provide a solution for our future generations, but put behind us all the wrong practices and move towards a better future with no more housing insecurity and no more unaffordable housing. Thank you.